Okay, so it is my claim that this album right here, Woman by Justice, is their most underrated album in their entire discography. Now, that doesn't mean I think it's their best. I'll say that right off the bat. But I do think it is the most underrated. A lot of people, and I think as time has gone on, it's become much more apparent that a lot of people just wanted Justice to do Cross again, which was their first studio album, Cross, no relation to me. Um, but I think that as somebody who got into Justice a lot more recently, like in the past year, I really, really like see Justice as like all of their albums, not just like Cross and then failing to do Cross like two or three more times. And Woman is one of those. I really like the sound of Woman. It's extremely cleanly mixed. It has, it's got more like pop and I don't know if disco is the right word. I'm bad with the terminology for music, but I really like the instrumentals and the what do you call it, samples that they use. Especially "Complexion" by Kendrick Lamar. They sample the "ooh" in that song. That's really cool. But anyway, the the main point that I wanted to make with calling this Justice's most underrated album is that I believe that this album tells a story. And I think that all of their albums tell a story, but I think this album tells the most like concrete story out of any of their albums. And with most musicians, like they have lyrics and stuff like that, and Justice has lyrics in these songs, but like when it comes to like electronic type dance music, again, in this case, it's more like poppy. Then usually there's not really much of a story to go along with it. I guess you could say like Daft Punk's Discovery kind of has a story, but that's because it's like made to be the soundtrack of a or I don't know if it was made to be the soundtrack of that movie Interstellar 5555. But anyway, the story that I think basically I've seen nobody talk about it, about Woman. Um, the story goes like this. So you got the opening track, that's Safe and Sound, right? And I'll say that I think the story is like the blossoming and then falling apart of a like new relationship, and then the like picking yourself back up after that, right? So Safe and Sound, the opening track, is like a hyping yourself up. I think it follows a male protagonist who's asking out a woman. That's why it's called Woman. I think it's the story of like how a woman affected this guy's life dramatically. So Safe and Sound opens, and it's all like I don't know how do you describe it, but it's like one of the more hype, I guess, sounds in this album, on this record. And to me it feels like a car revving up. The lyrics are like head up, foot down, speed of sound, or man up, hold tight, driving dark. Those are like the opening. So it's like, oh, you gotta man up, you gotta ask that girl out, you know. So I think that's what it's getting at in a more like, obviously in a more literal sense. It's like driving a car, which works really well for the live show, because the live show is a totally different story, which is about going around the world, and so it makes perfect sense to start up by like revving up your car and just hitting the road. But in this case, I think that's like a metaphor for like revving yourself up and like getting the confidence to ask her out. And then what's really cool is the second track, Pleasure, starts off with this like bum 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 bum, like this kind of like tune that to me sounds a lot like a video gamey like success chime. Like it reminds me of the Final Fantasy like that chime. So to me, Safe and Sound is like the hyping up, and then like the asking the girl out, and then Pleasure starts immediately when she's like, yeah, totally, like I'll go out on a date. And then it's like, oh, success. And then Pleasure, Alakazam, and Fire, all three of those songs play back to back, and those three songs are all about just like love. Those are all just kind of like traditional love songs. Pleasure is like a believe, it's like something like, when you believe in love, then you hold the key, or it's like use imagination as a destination, use imagination, long as you believe, then you hold the key, something like that. And then Fire, which plays immediately after Alakazam, is like lovers need no reason, lovers need no season. It's a game of giving, nothing more. So both clearly like very like love songs. And then Pleasure is Pleasure, duh. Um, but or no, I think I got Pleasure and Alakazam mixed up. Alakazam has like no lyrics, But Alakazam, it is like called Alakazam, which is like magic, and it's like the magic of a new relationship. And it totally, all three songs just sound like like love songs. They sound like, and they literally sound magical. The whole album sounds pretty magical, to be honest. Well, but these three songs specifically, and the fact that they're placed all like one after another is kind of like the honeymoon period to me. That's just like the period in the relationship between these two when everything's perfect and they're learning new things about each other and they're going on more dates and like it's just the perfect magical relationship. But then all of a sudden, following Fire, Stop. That's the fifth track on the album. That's like the midpoint. Literally, in the middle of the album, we get Stop, and Stop immediately goes from Fire, which is like this like revy, like passionate song, like a love song again, and then and then Stop immediately just starts off and it's just got a soft piano going dun 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 dun, and it's like super like quiet and like kind of spacey, and the lyrics to Stop are saying things like so many nights, so many memories, like reflecting on like the relationship up to that point. There's a point where it says like living a future we won't have together, or like thinking of a future we won't have together. It references a future that two people will not have together. So it's like, okay, obviously the relationship is coming to a close. It's coming to a stop. And the whole song is just like a reflective thing. There's a point where they say, it's so, I actually never realized the lyrics. There's a lyric in Stop that says, it's so easy to forget. It's like, it's so easy to forget how to surrender. And I was always thinking, like, I always felt that Stop was kind of like an uplifting song, and it is. It's like a song about like kind of dealing with whatever forced this breakup to happen. But I never understood why. I always thought that it was like it's so easy to forget not to surrender, or like it's so easy to forget and to surrender. I thought that that's what they were saying, and I was like, oh, that makes more sense. That's like more positive and stuff. But no, the lyrics are it's so easy to forget how to surrender, which I think makes a lot more sense now that we have this narrative, because it's like it's so easy to like cling on to a relationship that's already dead. It's so easy to forget how to like let the relationship go, because like until you do that, the healing process can't start, right? And then immediately after Stop, like Stop is like the struggle of letting go. It's thinking of all of the nights and the memories that were happening during the relationship, and then follow that up with Chorus. And Chorus is like the weirdest, wackiest song on the album. It's just a repetitive bung, bung, bung. It's just one note, like one note for the melody throughout almost the entire thing. And as you go, it just progressively like gets more like the more elements get added to it, until like eventually we get to like the 3/4 way through the song, and it like crescendos in this just like staticky, like buzzy mess of instruments, and this guitar that's just going it's just like going crazy. And like to me that is like and I was talking to my friend Voxelis about this whole thing. We were like putting this whole like narrative together, and he was saying that felt like the 7 stages of grief, which is why and Chorus is also the longest track on the album. It's 7 minutes long, and like it has no lyrics. It's just like a messy, like it feels angry, whereas like none of the other tracks I feel like on the entire record sound like that. But Chorus feels like just there's a ball of like almost stress or just like resentment that like you don't know what to do with, and like and it just like climbs and climbs and climbs and gets like crazier and crazier and like more, I don't know, just like not like on the rails as the song goes along, until you finally get to like the last 30 seconds of the album, and it just kind of like decompresses. It just kind of like you've like been so angry, and then you just like and you like can't be angry anymore. Like you've used up all of your energy being angry, and it's like and it just like everything just fades out all of a sudden, and it's just like a whistling or like a and it's all reverby and it's all spacey and stuff, and like that's acceptance. That's like you've gone through Stop, you've realized that you're holding on to the relationship, clinging for it to not be over. Chorus happens, and it's like the anger over like the realizing that the relationship is actually over and that it's not going to happen, and then you come to accept it, right? and then you follow up chorus, this 7 minute long, no lyric, just like clusterfuck of a song with Randy, which is like my favorite song on the album, and a lot of people, I think. It's amazing, and Randy immediately starts up with these drums, this it's like, and it's like hyping you back up. And Randy is the encouraging words of your friends who are trying to get you back out there. They're trying to pick you up. You're all like, you've gone through like the 7 stages of grief or whatever. You've accepted that it's over, but you're just tired, and your friends are saying, get up, get yourself out there. It's gonna be okay. And Randy is all just about like hyping up the listener. It's just like the lyrics just and it's just like, don't stop, try to make your mark and make your mind up. Ba-na-na. Don't stop, work it out and try to make it, Randy. Get yourself together, got to get it up to make it better. Ba-da-da-ba-ba. I don't even think I have to explain how those lyrics can be construed as like motivational and like helping someone who's been heartbroken get back out there. Those are your encouraging friends. Follow that up with Heavy Metal. That's the 8th. I think this is the 8th track. There's 10 tracks on I hold 5 fingers. There's 10 tracks on this album. But then Heavy Metal is like the guy who, the protagonist of this story, like finally internalizing that message. Heavy Metal is all, and if you like listen, if you watch the music video of Heavy Metal, it's like a marching band. And I think that the Heavy Metal is kind of like a workout track. Like I don't know if I'd actually listen to Heavy Metal as a workout track. It's pretty goofy, but I like it like that. It's got more of like a rise and fall. It's like a it's got those like almost human vocals during like the chorus or whatever that like Justice does a lot with their music, that to me like feels like the kind of thing that like you should be singing along to, but they're like noises that you can't quite make with your mouth. I wouldn't even try to imitate it. But like to me that feels like it's like it goes like wow, and that feels like the like pumping metal. You're like oh, I'm motivated to get back out there. I'm like ready. And then Heavy Metal ends and we go into Love SOS, which is the 9th track, second to last one. And Love SOS is a like, you would think it's a love song, right? But like the lyrics are actually going, it's a love SOS, like a, save our ship. It's like a love SOS, it's a love emergency. And to me, that's like obviously somebody who's trying to get back out there. Like that's literally like what you put on your Tinder profile, And in the music video for Love SOS, technically it is the Love SOS Woman Worldwide version in terms of mixing, but it does end, like the actual structuring of the song, like how like it starts and ends just the exact same as the original version, whereas in the Woman Worldwide show, it transitions into the next track, which is Alakazam X Fire. The songs are put in different order in the live version, but I think that the music video like makes more sense as like for this version of the story because of the structuring of it, and also just because Love SOS, the Woman Worldwide version and the woman version are extremely like similar. I don't know if they're structured exactly the samely, but the only major difference is that they're mixed differently to like bring out more of the bass. But anyway, the music video for Love SOS is like this super ripped guy wearing like a bedazzled like Speedo and high heels, and he's got this huge scar over his face, and he like goes out into like a club that's filled with like a bunch of like what look just like rich white guys. They're all like the smoking the cigar type guys, and he just does like a huge ass pole dance around like in front of them, except it's not like a pole dance. He's honestly just kind of like swinging around it, and then in the middle of the music video, like when we hit like kind of the climax of the song, he jumps out. He's in like a glass case or whatever while he's doing this dance, and he jumps out, shatters the glass, lands like on the floor in high heels. It's badass, because who's ever done that in high heels? And then he just starts beating the shit out of everybody in the club as the song like plays out. And like to me, that is like, this is the guy we've been following. He's scarred because he's scarred like from the relationship like ending. He's super ripped because he's been like motivated back up by his friends. He's internalized that message, and he's like he's worked out basically. Like he's done a bunch of physical exercise in preparation to like get back out there. That's kind of like a physical signifier of his confidence. And then in the video, he is extremely confident. He like doesn't speak a word, but he's still like is not ashamed at all to show off his body. He's like, you know, super comfortable in like the high heels and like the feminine attire, obviously, and then just like beating the shit out of everybody who about like the businessman. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean, but I think this works for the story that I'm trying to construct out of this. But anyway, finally finish it. So Love SOS closes out, and we finally finish it up with Close Call, which to me is just like a song that I always say Close Call sounds like a Super Mario Odyssey or a Super Mario Galaxy soundtrack. It sounds like that first song that played, like if you've ever seen that video, it's got like 2 million views. If you've ever seen that video that's like Mario Galaxy, the Lonely Sadness or some shit like that. It's got like a pretentious title, but like it's a good video. Basically talking about how like Mario Odyssey opens on this like tiny planet with just like a soft piano piece. That's what that's what Close Call sounds like to me, the final track, the closer of the album. And it's just like life, man. Like, isn't it crazy how like I started off this just like trying to amp myself up, and I went through this whole journey with this girl, and you know it didn't work out, but you know I came out the other end, and I'm better off for it. And it's just like life, man. And like that's Close Call to me. And I really wish that they would like I can't believe that Close Call is like the only time that like Justice, you know, they remake and remix a bunch of their songs, like, you know, doing live versions of the songs and stuff, but they've never done a live version of Close Call. I would love to hear a live version of Close Call so much. It'd be so cool. But yeah, that's the story as I see it. I think this like makes the most sense in the world, especially considering like how each track is like structured and how they like, because with their earlier albums, you know, with like Cross and like with Audio Video Disco a little bit, their songs would like more literally transition into one another. Like you would have Phantom into Phantom Part 2, and you would have The Party into DVNO, right? But like with this one, a lot of the songs like they start and then stop, or they stop and then start. Like one stops and the other one just begins. But like I think that the like, you know, especially with thinking about how like Pleasure starts immediately following Safe and Sound, and how like, you know, Stop starts immediately following Fire. Like I think that like even if there is technically like a little gap of silence, not with all of them, but even if there is like more just like one song ends and then the next song begins, like I feel like the order that they're played in the album makes that very appropriate. And like it would mess it up if you tried to like scramble the order, you know, which I mean they did scramble the order on like Woman Worldwide, but Woman Worldwide is a totally different album, and they remixed them and like added transitions to make them transition into one another better. This is not a video about Woman Worldwide. But anyway, that's why Woman is the most underrated Justice album, and fuck you if you disagree.